Welcome back. The Israeli spin machine may have been successful in the United States, but how effective was it at home? During the war on Gaza, Arab and international media ran many graphic images of the casualties, but the Israeli media chose to pursue a much more sanitized version of events. Jackie Rowland investigates the ongoing media war.
A human rights group presents graphic evidence of what it says are potential war crimes in Gaza. The report says that Israeli soldiers targeted civilians and in some cases let them bleed to death before allowing ambulances in. The room is full of journalists, but Israeli television is noticeable by its absence.
This is how news is made. Reporters come, they listen, they take notes, then they go away and write a story. Or they don't write a story, as the case may be.
The next day, one of the authors of the report can find no mention of it in the Israeli papers.
There's nothing about the report.
She's disappointed that the local media have ignored the story, but she's not surprised.
I think there's lack of interest and a lack of willingness to admit that things had been wrong. For example, if Chief of Staff Ashkenazi will say we're the most moral army in the universe, it will be in all of the newspapers. But if we will say there are facts that contradict this saying, it will be very difficult to get them into the newspapers.
The Israeli army has a whole media machine churning out positive spin. Here at the Army spokesperson's office, young conscripts send out press releases that depict a world where virtuous Israeli soldiers do battle against evil Palestinian terrorists. And there's also a video unit pushing the same message.
While the IDF makes every effort to avoid injuring non-combatants, Hamas intentionally targets civilians.
This is one of many videos the Army has posted on the internet site YouTube. It gives a highly slanted account of the recent war in Gaza and has been viewed more than 100,000 times. The fancy graphics and the American accented voiceover are a powerful combination.
I believe the job of the spokesperson is to represent his clients. In my condition, the client is the IDF for the country of Israel. We're giving service to the press, basically, and we're also working with the press in order to promote our interests of the organization as well. So I would say it's a mutual working relationship.
But that mutual working relationship didn't stretch as far as allowing journalists into Gaza during the war. The closest they could get was a hill overlooking the northern Gaza Strip. Only a few select journalists were allowed in, most of them Israeli, and the army controlled what they were able to see and film.
Only when I went into Gaza, I started to understand what went on over there. And the two things I didn't see and didn't have the opportunity to shoot, I didn't see any war or any fighting, and I didn't see Palestinians' families.
The official Israeli version of events is happily swallowed by most of the Israeli public. People like the callers who take part in this radio phone-in show. The outspoken host has plenty of on-air fights with people who he feels shut their eyes and ears to anything that contradicts their own view of the world.
Your average Arab idiot will always justify the Arab side of what it does. Your average Jewish idiot would always justify the Jewish side no matter what happens. That's a problem, and in the media there are people who go along with this too.
It would be untrue to say that all Israeli media follow the government line, but during the Gaza war there was an exceptional consensus. Public opinion was solidly behind the war, and this was reflected in the media coverage.
I expect the Israeli media to be much more open than it is. I have a problem, and I've actually expressed it myself in writing. I wrote an op-ed about the issue of the different narratives, the fact that the Israelis tend to present only the Israeli patriotic point of view, and anybody who deviates from that is considered to be non-patriotic.
There's no question that the media war is fought every bit as fiercely as the battle on the ground, and for the most part the outcome is the same. The Israeli army is infinitely better armed than the Palestinian fighters in Gaza, and the Israeli propaganda machine is also far more powerful and sophisticated. Jackie Rowland, Al Jazeera.